Welcome back. I'm the Rational Gooner, and this is my initial reaction to the first leg of the Champions League semi-final between Atletico Madrid and Arsenal at the Metropolitano tonight. Lots to get through. It was quite an incident-packed game, not short of drama. Everyone was a bit apprehensive after the 5-4 between PSG and Bayern Munich last night that this may have been the come-down, but not so much. It was a very aggressive and a very entertaining game for different reasons. It was a tale of three penalty decisions, in my opinion. So, we'll go through the teams first. After the weekend's game against Newcastle, Arsenal made a couple of changes, forced really, with the injuries of Kai Havertz and a knock to Eberechi Eze. They started with Raya, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Ødegaard, Rice, Zubimendi, Madueke, Gyokeres and Martinelli. And with Atletico starting with in goal Oblak, then Llorente, Pubil, Hanko, Ruggieri, Simeone, Koke, Cardoso, Lookman, Griezmann and Alvarez. I was very proud of Arsenal in that first half. That was a textbook away performance in the first half. I do believe, though, that Atletico made it easier for us by being quite standoffish. I expected them to be a lot more aggressive, a lot more on the front foot. Every time we had the ball, I expected them to be pressing us higher up the pitch, but they allowed us to play our game, and they showed us a lot of respect in that first half, possibly too much respect. They had a couple of decent chances as well, which I think we were equal to. Our defence looked very comfortable. Declan Rice was the best player on the pitch. Hincapié handled Simeone so well on the left hand side. It was a man against a boy really, and I think his dad was justified in taking his son off at half time because he just had no joy on that right hand side. And it just kind of changed once he'd done that, and he pushed Pubil up into that right midfield position. It just looked a little bit more balanced from an Atletico Madrid point of view in the second half. But that first half, Hincapié bullied him, and fully justified to take him off at half time, Simeone. That's Giuliano Simeone, not Diego Simeone, and I'll come to him, and I'll have a few choice words to say about him. Remember, I am the Rational Gooner, and I'll try and be as rational as I possibly can when I talk about him. But yeah, our goal, it came in the first half. It came late in the first half, just close to the stroke of half time, and it came from a penalty. Some good work from us after the ball sort of bounced off Alvarez back into the midfield. A few little passes later, and Gyokeres finds himself the wrong side of the Atletico Madrid defender Hanko, and he bundled him over. The protest from Simeone was absolutely laughable. How you can try and justify that was a dive is absolutely ridiculous. And if it would have happened in the Atletico Madrid box, I'm pretty sure he would be up in arms at the referee and trying to get him his side a penalty. And the confidence I have when Gyokeres places that ball on the spot and steps up, it's like no other Arsenal player I've ever seen when they step up. I don't think he knows how to miss a penalty, Gyokeres. That penalty was at a very nice height and at a very nice placing for a goalkeeper to save it. But he had no chance. He even dived the right way. The power that Gyokeres gets behind the ball, the goalkeeper had zero chance of saving it because it was behind him before he'd even dived. So we're coming at half-time, 1-0. Atletico make their change. Simeone gets into his players at half-time, gives them a few digs, in the same way that Arteta does that when Arsenal come in at half-time, having either being trailing or just not playing well, we seemed to come out with that extra gear in the second half, and that's what Atletico did. And I'm pretty sure 99% of Arsenal fans expected that, and I'm pretty sure Arsenal as a team expected it. And it was down to us to weather that storm, because when Atletico come at you, the stadium gets behind them, the crowd are up. It's a very volatile, partisan, and very difficult ground to play in. And I think that what Atletico did when they came out was fantastic. It was brilliant. They pressed us high up the pitch, lots of energy, went into challenges with 2 or 3 players backing themselves up, and we found it difficult to get out. But what I found great for us and from our point of view is that yes, we conceded the penalty, and yes, Atletico did equalise, but what we didn't do was we didn't collapse, we didn't fall apart, we kept our shape, we kept going. And then midway through that second half, we suddenly started playing our football again, and we started knocking it around, and we started to move into their half with a bit more purpose and got some good chances out of it. But let's hone in on the penalty decision. Slowed down, and with VAR looking at it, I've looked at this many times, and there is an angle where you see the ball hit Ben White's knee, bounce up, and then hit his hand. 3 things go against that decision. The first one is that the ball was travelling off target by about 20 yards. There was no way that ball was heading towards goal. Okay, that shouldn't matter with a handball decision, so let's chalk that one off. The second, the silhouette of the player. Ben White's arm is in an unnatural position. So the referee is going to look at that and he's going to say, okay, so the silhouette, if the ball hits your arm, that's a penalty. It depends on the proximity, but because Ben White was a good 10, 15 yards away from the player when he struck the ball, the ref's looking at that. What the referee has failed to look at, and VAR has failed to look at, because the decision wasn't given. The decision was no penalty. The referee didn't give the penalty on the pitch. He didn't give that decision. He was asked to go and look at the monitor. Now, how the VAR guys hadn't picked up on the fact that it had ricocheted up and hit his arm after hitting his knee, I have no idea. And then how the referee missed it when he spent a good 12 or 13 times rewatching the ball bounce up off the knee and hit his arm and still gives the penalty. I am lost for words. I'm absolutely lost for words. And again, Diego Simeone's running about on that touchline, giving it to the 4th official. He's in the referee's ear when the referee's watching the VAR back, and it's really just it leaves a bad taste. Now, a lot of rival fans and maybe some Arsenal fans will say Arteta would probably have done the same thing, and I would disagree with that. I know Arteta is an emotional man, and I know Arteta likes to step outside of his technical area. He likes to remonstrate. But this season, Arteta has calmed down, and you have to admit that, because there's been nothing, absolutely nothing, for rival fans, pundits, commentators. There's been nothing for them to have a go at Arteta about this season. He's been absolutely 100% perfect, in my opinion, this season. And that's completely different to how he's been in the last 2 to 3 years. And I completely agree with you that Arteta has previous, but he's not that way inclined this season. He's been a lot more mellow, possibly because we've been top all season. I have no idea. But when it comes down to things like that, when you allow managers to ref the game, that's just awful. But the penalty was given. We have to take that on the chin, and Alvarez stuck it away nicely. I think the camera panned to one of our coaches talking to Raya, giving him advice on where Alvarez may be placing the penalty, and Raya, he'd gambled and he just stayed where he was. He thought that he was going to smash it down the middle, so there must have been some kind of a video package that he'd looked at before the game and saw that Alvarez tends to hit it down the middle, but Alvarez stuck it in, from where he's looking at the top left-hand corner. And I don't think even if Raya had dived, he would have saved it. So 1-1, again, we take it on the chin. Moving on into the game then, I think there was a good 15-minute period there where we could have collapsed, where Atletico could have scored another 2 or 3. Griezmann hit the post, or the angle between post and bar, and then on the follow-up, he came very close. Raya had to make a save from Lookman, which if Lookman had got hold of the strike a little bit better, he would have struggled, Raya. But those are the moments in games where if it's in your favour, sometimes your name's just on the trophy sometimes. But, that's for future analysis to look at once we get into that second leg and hopefully get through to the final. Then we move on to the most controversial thing, and this is where I have to kind of take a step back from the rational gooner and go in with my Arsenal hat on. Eberechi Eze goes down in the area and the referee is in a perfect position to see what's happened. He doesn't need VAR to intervene. He's seen what's happened. Eze has touched the ball and the defender has not touched the ball. He's stood on Eze's ankle. Eze has gone over and his leg sweeps around to make it look as if he's trying to initiate further contact, and he's on the deck. And the referee straight away has given the penalty. Stadium goes silent and all you can hear is Simeone remonstrating. Hanko gets booked for his protests, and that booking doesn't get rescinded when the referee eventually goes to the monitor and overturns the decision. Now, these are the exceptions that I have. The first thing is VAR only have to intervene if it is a clear and obvious error. There is no clear and obvious error here. Anywhere else on that pitch is a free kick. He stood on his ankle. Anywhere else on the pitch, Arsenal get a free kick. If it's in the Arsenal penalty area and Alvarez goes over on somebody's leg, there's no way the referee's going to that monitor. This might be an irrational kind of opinion from me, and you're not going to get many of these, but on this case, I have my Arsenal hat on. But if you were to pick those players up and put them in the Arsenal box, and the exact same thing happened there, there's absolutely zero chance of that being overturned, and Atletico would have got a penalty. The next thing that I'm going to say is, whilst the referee is watching that monitor after VAR have said go and have a look at it, and he's looking at it 13 times, they even said it on the TV, it took him 13 times to look at it. If you're looking at it 13 times, that is not clear and obvious. If you're looking at it 13 times and you've got Diego Simeone stood 5 yards away, rambling spitting all kinds of venom in your ear and telling you what's happening rather than your opinion being formulated from your VAR team and your own eyes, there is a big disconnect there. The fourth official has got to get Diego Simeone back into his technical area and shut him up. He needs to be quiet. And if that happens in the second leg, he isn't going to get away with it because the Arsenal crowd will get on top of him and we'll have a little bit more of a home advantage on that front. I have to say, I've never seen a game I've never seen a game refereed by a manager in that second half like I did today. In 45 minutes of football, that whole entire 45 minutes was refereed and linesmaned and fourth officialed by one man, and that was Diego Simeone. He influenced every single decision. He's waving his hands and remonstrating and showing everybody yellow cards around the place, and he's just making himself look like a complete and utter dickhead. And there's no love lost between any England fans and Diego Simeone after what happened in France 98. You don't need me to tell you. Look it up. Go on Google. You'll see exactly what he did and what his antics have caused. If somebody did that to one of his... if one of his players did that to one of our players today, what happened in 98, this guy would be in the press conference after the game telling the referee that he's a mug, telling the whole of football that they're wrong and he's right. There's so much to like about Diego Simeone's team and the players on that pitch. There's so much to like about the way that they approach football because it's different from Real Madrid, it's different from Barcelona, it's something different. It's so much to like about the individual qualities of those players. Anton Griezmann, Ademola Lookman, Julian Alvarez, to name three out of a team of absolute superstars. There's so much to like about that team, and yet there's so much to dislike about his attitude, his behaviour, and the way he conducts himself. It is embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. And from a rival fan, from somebody that's watching from the outside looking in, I'd be embarrassed if I was an Atletico fan watching my manager do those types of tactics on the sideline. You might sit there and feel free to comment and call me a hypocrite if I've ever said that I like those antics from Arteta when he used to do it. I don't. And I'm embarrassed for Arteta whenever he did it as well. Diego Simeone is one of those managers that's adored by his own fans and then hated by the rest. Really is. He's just one of those. Would I want him to manage at Arsenal? Maybe. Maybe. Because sometimes the cutting edge that you need in a team is an utter complete bastard. And that is what Diego Simeone is. He's the pantomime villain. He's Mourinho light, you know. He's the Jose Mourinho without the trophy cabinet, because he's only won a handful of things at Atletico Madrid in the 14 years that he's been there. I'm not saying that we deserve to win the game, and I'm not saying that the scoreline wasn't fair, because 1-1 is an absolutely fantastic result to come out of the Metropolitano for any team. Any team. Barcelona would take a 1-1 at that stadium. Real Madrid would take a 1-1 at that stadium. Bayern Munich would take 1-1. PSG would take 1-1. So overall, very happy with that performance. Very happy to take them back to the Emirates and they're no deficit. Yes, we took the lead, and yes, we had a great opportunity to take them back to the Emirates with a lead to protect. However, I'd take it, and I would have taken a draw at kickoff. So, yeah, I think Arteta should be happy with the way that we played. And I think Simeone would probably be happy with the way that his team responded after a pretty poor first half from them. Okay, so that's it from me. I think I'm done for this evening. Rant about Simeone over. Just one thing I should take from that game is don't let the managers referee the game. You know, be strong. And hopefully in the second leg, we get a strong referee that doesn't take any shit from either manager. Remember to like and subscribe. And thank you very much for listening. And I will be back at the weekend where we play Fulham for the tea time kickoff on Saturday. Other than that, have a good rest of your week and see you then. Bye-bye.